Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV, guys, and welcome to the first episode of 2024 of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And Chelsea rounded out an awful 23 with back-to-back wins and maybe some positivity to build on heading into 2024. Got a cup semi-final coming up this month. We've got obviously the FA Cup run beginning, some favourable fixtures to kick us off. So we've got a chance to build some momentum. Of course, we've got the transfer window open as well, which for Chelsea fans recently has been sort of a source of coping with how bad things have been on the pitch. But to dive into all things Chelsea, where the club looks like it could be heading in 24, looking at the January window, all the good stuff. I'd like to be joined by Brendan, mate. Thank you for coming on. Welcome to the channel. Where are you sitting with Chelsea right now, bro? Obviously, we're kind of in the first week of January. Not too much has happened in the window so far. We rounded out with a couple of wins back end of last year. How are you feeling about Chelsea heading into this year?
To be honest, I mean, I don't think it could be any worse than last year. Obviously, last year and, late 2022 was just shaky in general. And I feel now with everything that's happening, with Nkuku in the squad, with all the things kind of, joining together, like the pieces they look like they're finally joining together. I mean, there's still a lot to work on, but I feel like this year is our best year to win a trophy with the Carabao Cup in general. And if we win that, then, that could actually, start something really positive for the future. So I'm taking it match by match. I'm not gonna try to say, oh, we're gonna be in this position by this time of the year. I'm just gonna see how every match goes. But I have faith that we can win a trophy, and I think we obviously any club should. But I think we really should be pushing as hard as we can to actually win a trophy, just so that it gives us some sort of leverage for the year in general.
Yeah, no, mate, I agree. I mean, a lot of people kind of laugh about the Carabao Cup and they don't take it that seriously. But for me, it's more than just a trophy. Like, this could be, I'm not going to say it's like symbolic if we win this, but you know what I mean? In terms of it'll be the first trophy under this ownership. It'll be Poch's first trophy in England. It'll be this group of players' first trophy. It'll kind of show that, it'll be a lot of these guys' first thing that they've won. I mean, not all of them, but a lot of these guys will be the first trophy they've won. And more than that, it proves that, do you know what, we as a group can win stuff, and that's kind of powerful. That for me means more than the actual trophy does. Just the fact that we've proven we can win, and it can set you up for a strong kind of second half of the season. You'd have to look at those fixtures against Middlesbrough. Of course, you've still got to get through them, but you'd have to look at those as favourable. And then you're looking at a final against Liverpool or Fulham. Anything can happen in finals. But I think that is progress being made. Look, we're sitting 10th in the table. No one wants to be there. But if you have better decision making, December we don't do well. We normally have terrible run of form. We took 9 points from 12, and arguably with better decision making in that Wolves game from Sterling. We could have won all those games in December, which, I think a lot of people heading into that month would have thought, there's no chance of that. So despite, there are some problems, we're conceding a lot of goals still. Game management's not all there at the moment. To get 3 wins from 4 in December, be in a Carabao Cup semi-final, that's not disastrous. But I mean, what have you made of Poch? Has been in now kind of 6 months, obviously first half of the season and whatnot. What have you made of what you're seeing from him? Because for me, I get it. People are entitled to their opinions. A lot of people think, you know what, we need to get rid of the manager. I'm not one of those. But for me, I think it's clear that game management side of things has to improve. Too many times we've been sort of in control of a game, and then we've kind of self-destructed, and a win's gone into a draw, or a draw's gone into a defeat. I don't think we're very good at managing games. I think at times his in-game tactics have been poor. I think a lot of the time the substitutions have been reactive rather than proactive, rather than sensing the situation. I think for the Luton game, for example, you could see for 10, 15 minutes before the goal eventually came, that a tide was turning and that we needed something different from the bench to switch it up. I think we leave it too long in games. But overall, I think we've seen signs that, you can see what the Pochettino brand of football is. Look at games against Arsenal for 80 minutes. Look at the Man City game. You look at patches of the Tottenham game. You can see how he wants to play. We just aren't able right now to do it on a consistent basis. But I mean, what have you made of Poch's first 6 months here?
To be honest, so at first I really liked it. I really liked him, and then I've never been Poch out. I don't really believe firing the manager is going to do something, especially when I love Mourinho, but people want Mourinho to come back for a first stint. It's just a short-term thing. I know that World Club that, with our recent success, we've been having loads of managers and so on and so forth to get that success. So like, I think we had Tuchel for like around 2 years, if I'm correct, or around like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And he won the Champions League with him and so on and so forth. And it's just like, I see Poch's I see what he's trying to do, right? But I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I don't believe he should be sacked, because I believe if it all comes into plan, then we can be a really serious club again. But there are decisions where I'm thinking that's the wrong sub. I don't get why I don't know why you're playing, especially with our defenders, why you're playing that defender on the as a fullback. Why is he there, and so on and so forth. And you look at it and it's like there's a reason why we're not really attacking very well. We're not making the right decisions going forward here and there. And it's like, yeah, because the players you're playing are not in the right position. And I understand that we have an injury crisis. A couple of our players are injured, but it's a thing where it's like, I'm looking at Poch and I'm thinking you have to start getting it right now, because if you don't, it's going to become a case where not only is the whole Poch out brigade going to grow even more, but I'm just going to run out of options to justify why you should even be the manager. And I cannot be asked. I cannot be bothered to just keep changing managers, especially now we have a completely new takeover. If it was a Abramovich, okay, cool, we really had that sort
He's done. If Roman was here,
he's out. He's off. He's out.
He was gone last month.
Yeah, literally. So like, but it's different now. We've got Todd now, and there's a thing where it's like, because we have a different ownership, we have to understand that with a different ownership, we have to be different in a way, or we have to at least, how can I say, grow in a way in which is different to how we were before, because it might actually help us. You never know. But I don't believe sacking Poch is the way forward, and I don't believe he should be leaving now. If we have a disastrous January and a disastrous February, then okay, you're gonna look at it like, okay, you've had a transfer window, you've had time to kind of sort things out. Players are coming back from injuries and so forth. Maybe you're not the right man for us. Then at that point, we can be like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
maybe we should go.
For me, like
even then,
I mean, I'm not one for constantly replacing managers. I don't think it achieves anything like that. That sort of cycle of what we were doing over the last 20 years, that worked because the Premier League wasn't as competitive as it is now. Secondly, like every squad we done that with, maybe bar when Tuchel come in, but every squad at like pretty much the point in time when we were chopping and changing managers was the best or second best in the league. It was ready to win things. It just needed coaching. There wasn't any players that needed developing. Like now, you look at this and you're constantly chopping and changing. It's young players, and Chelsea as an environment, as a culture right now, the club's DNA. It's kind of a little bit all over the place. And look, I'm not for just saying just keep the manager blindly back him. Like as you said, bro, I've got to see something for me to back and for me to hold on for, and to me to look at and think, do you know what? We may have lost these games, but I can see a positive trend in the right direction. I think under Graham Potter, that's where it was so wrong. It wasn't the fact that it was shit we were losing every week, but it's the fact as well that you couldn't see anything that was suggesting this team was going to improve. I don't think we're in a situation like that with Poch. I look at this team and I think some of the things I see in games, like I almost feel like, as a manager, what can you do about that? When you see Raheem Sterling refusing to pass to square it with a 3-on-1, when you see some of the finishing that we've done in certain games, and I just look at it and I think, all right, you might not like the manager, but how is the manager responsible for that level of poor decision making?
Exactly, and this is what I'm saying, because when I've been to the recent games, and I'm like, I don't want to like try to be like, oh, I've gone to games, therefore I know what I'm talking about. No, but I've seen it. I've seen the style of play and how it's gone well. But then I've seen it at the final third, and then the decisions are just poor or the finishing is poor. And I'm literally like, in my head, the first bit of anger goes towards the player. The manager, I've even forgotten about the manager in that situation. I'm annoyed at the players for being so poor in that situation, which is why I'm saying to people, I don't think like you can definitely tell me, yes, Poch makes the wrong decision when it comes to subs. Poch is playing our defenders all over the gaff. Why is this person playing here? Why blah blah blah. Okay, I can get it, but you cannot get angry at Poch when your strikers just aren't finishing your chances. You can't get angry at Poch when Sterling is 3-on-1 and it has to shoot to shush the Wolves fans instead of passing to his two players next to him. You can't get angry at Poch for that. Do you understand? Like, okay, you can say, oh, maybe Poch, the mentality that Poch brings towards players makes players do that. But dude, let's be real. That's not the reality, is it? At the end of the day, we have good players. The team chemistry is coming together. I'm seeing Mudryk looking better. I'm seeing Nkunku looking good. I'm seeing like Jackson. I get onto Jackson a lot on match days, but Jackson with his play.
All right. I think he's done
No,
okay.
and I've actually like I stopped it. I think it was last week. I sat myself down and I was like, no, I can't get. Yeah, his finish is poor, but he hasn't been that bad. He's actually been pretty decent.
Link up's actually decent, you know.
And it helps. It really helps. It really helps. So I'm thinking about this with our players. I don't have anything against Poch. Like, yeah, he's not perfect, but it's like you just need a bit more refinement. And when you get that with a better squad and better players, you can then see the end product. And that's just kind of what I believe. And I feel like if you actually give him some time, see how this year goes, or see how I like to say how this quarter goes. See where we are at in March. If we are like 14th in March, out the lost the Carabao Cup, out the FA Cup, then you're like, okay, something like, what's going on here?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I think for me, mate, I think a lot of people, a lot of the fans, maybe Poch himself, like, I don't think people realised how difficult this Chelsea job is when to come in. Like, you look at it and you have like everything from top to bottom, from boardroom to playing staff to managers to coaching staff, everything has changed in just about 2 years or just under 2 years. The whole thing from top to bottom has changed. Like, for me, like, I look at it and I think, yes, the manager's responsible for some things, but like, it's more than just a manager issue. I think the people that think it's a manager issue, just like, I think that's almost an easy way out, because that's like the only thing you can really have influence over. The owners aren't going anywhere because you've got to be here minimum 10 years. These players are on 7-8 year contracts. You're not going to be getting rid of those anytime soon. And so people look at it and they think, well, the only thing we've got really any say on or any control over is the manager. And I think nowadays, I think it's a thing with social media, is that people they love to have a scapegoat. It has to be like, it has to be someone's fault. People don't seem to step back and like assess things in a bigger picture. It's not this. What's going on at Chelsea is not one person's fault. It's a It's a combination of factors. Too many wholesale changes at the club are taking place too quickly. We've signed way too many players at once. We've signed too many players that are inexperienced. Like, for me, look, the sporting directors, I'm not about like bringing heat on people, but like, I think they should be taking a lot more of the shots, as it were, than the manager. Like, you look at these guys and they've come in. All right, we've got a new recruitment strategy, fine, but these guys have clearly, fundamentally, completely misunderstood what it takes to be competitive in the Premier League and how to build a squad that competes at the top end of the league. There's a reason why, for me, you've never seen a squad in the Premier League put together like this, because A, it doesn't work, or B, for it to work, it takes 2 or 3 years, and people aren't prepared to take that chance. Like, so for me, these guys, have they signed crap players? I've criticised their recruitment in terms of too many guys are not ready to perform at the required level right now. But at the same side, I can look at it and I think, do you know what? Cole Palmer, exceptional signing. Malo Gusto, brilliant signing. There have been some good signings, but the problem for me is that the way that they've gone around making the squad up is not conducive to being successful in the league. I mean, do you think I'm not about sticking blame on people, but do you think enough people are giving them, criticism and questions about how they've actually put this squad together? It's all very well saying you spent X amount of money, but bro, this squad's not ready to compete in the Premier League. not on a consistent basis anyway.
I fully agree. I have nothing else to add, but like literally, it's you said it bang on. How much money have you spent? What, more than $1 billion?
Well, $1 billion in 3 windows in it or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you see all the players we have, right? Again, we've got good signers. I think Mudryk is a good signer. Well, I think he will come good, but whatever in it. Like, push him to the side. Malo Gusto, he's been great. I like him a lot. Cole Palmer, amazing. You've got, Lavio's injured, so now he's only come into the squad, whatever, in the last 2 weeks.
Injured again.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I mean? So that, and then going, and then Caicedo, a bit of a shaky start, done well, and then so on and so forth. Cool. Enzo, out injured. So, he's been good. This is all, like, I'm not going to name every single signing we've got. But my point is, we have good signers. We have average signers, and then we have poor signers. But the poor signings aren't as much as everyone's making it. Like, there's not actually that many poor signings. It's just that signings that we have, it's like it's either average or it's just not working in the squad. You understand? And now we can establish that. Why is everyone going to the manager for it? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. No, bro, like, I get it.
You completely pushed it all onto the manager. Yes, as I said, you can say, why are you playing this defender in this position? Why are you doing this sub? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. But the sport director's got all these players.
I think it's clear as well that Poch has not had anywhere near as much say in these signings as maybe people make out he has. Yeah, they might run it by him, but bro, he's not taking an active daily involvement in this recruitment. I think you can tell by the comments he's made, particularly after the Everton game. He's not happy with the makeup of the squad. He's not got enough experience there. You look at a game like Luton, for example, and we're turning to Alfie Gilchrist, the under-21s captain, to try and see a game out. He's played a couple of sub appearances for the club. You look back now, like in a game like Luton in years gone by, you would have chucked on a John Obi Mikel for the last 15, 20 minutes. You might have chucked on a Matic, for example. We don't have any experience. And you look at the experience we've got, and you're like, right, you've got Thiago Silva at the back, fine. You've got no experience in midfield, and you've got the experience in the forward line is Sterling, and he's not exactly pulling up any trees. So you look at it, and in difficult moments, these young players are all looking at each other and thinking, well, you don't know what to do in this moment. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. And then panic spreads so quickly. And I think you could see from a mile off in that Luton game that we're 3-0 up with 10 minutes to go. There is no way you should be clinging on to a game. And bro, I'm telling you now, if that game was 5 minutes longer, that's 3-3, and we don't win. But look, it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. It's always, for me, it's always bigger than just the manager. I'll be the first one to call out the manager if it is purely on the manager. And look, we criticise the manager when it's right to do so, but to solely blame all this on the manager is disingenuous. I think it can be agenda-driven. People just expecting too much too quickly. Like the standards thing annoys me as well. Like the standards at Chelsea have never changed. The manager said that multiple times, that the standard is always to win everything we possibly can. But we also, as fans, I think, have to accept that or understand that right now, this team is not in a position to hit the standards that we've set. No one's saying that 10th in the league is acceptable. No one's saying that we should be having some sort of parade if we win the Carabao Cup. But we've got to take baby steps. We've got to start building brick by brick again, because at the moment we've torn the whole building down, and we're now starting again. But people are still holding the same standards as when the building was fully built. So that I think that sort of mindset needs to change. I also feel there's quite a lot of sense of entitlement amongst the fan base. None of us are happy about what's going on. But if you said to me that over the last 20 years, you'd see your team win absolutely everything, but then you might have to be shit for a couple of years to get back to the top, you're like, fucking hell, I'm taking that all day long. And now we're in that situation. People are losing their minds over it.
And this is what kills me, right? I am a 26-year-old man, okay? I've seen my team win every single trophy. Well, I've been alive to see my team win every single trophy by the Club World Cup twice or more, right? I've seen, if somebody told me as a baby and I understood everything about the world, you support Chelsea, right? You're going to see your team win the Champions League, win the FA Cup, win the Premier League, League Cup, blah, 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 twice or more, right? But for after like what 20 years or so, you're going to see a team like you're not going to be the best, but you're not going to be the worst. You're just not going to really be out there, and you're going to have those years of developing. I'll be like, okay, that's why people like they can banter me online and say your team's rubbish, your team's dead, blah blah blah. But I'm like, dude, my team's won every single trophy possible. Do you understand? And now we're in a I don't even want to call it transition period, but we're in a transitional period where we are just not as good as we were a couple of years ago. But we're on the way of becoming as good as we were a couple of years ago. That's I understood this and why that's kind of why I get it. I get what's going on. I'm not I'm not angry. Obviously, you watch it, you're like, oh, that's silly. Like, again, Sterling chance against Wolves, you're like, dude, what the hell? Do you understand? But it's like, you, I get like, dude, we are in a position where we are going to get back to our best. Yes. I make jokes about it all the time where, the last time we won the Premier League, I was a small, skinny twig, and now at this season of me in 10th of us in 10th place, I'm this really big person. It's like, yeah, time has really flown by, hasn't it? I get it. I bant about this all the time, but my point is we are growing, and when everything connects, I believe everyone in the league should be really scared of the team, of the club, because it will connect, and I can't wait for the time for it to connect. But for the meantime, it's gonna be a bit of a sluggish thingy, which is why I'm so adamant on winning the Carabao Cup, to make a statement that even with a squad that's not as good as it should be, we can still win trophies.
Yeah,
That's it.
Bro, I absolutely agree, mate.
Yeah,
Like, we know we've got two things we can win this year: Carabao and FA Cup. We can't do anything else. Like,
yeah,
that's why, like, we have to go all in on these things. We're playing once a week, give or take,
yeah,
and like these cup competitions are really, really important. We haven't won a domestic trophy since what 2017 FA Cup, when Hazard scored a 1-0 penalty against Man United under Conte. Bro, we lost the last
yeah,
3 FA Cup finals. We've lost our last 2 Carabao Cups. Like, you talk about like this cup, and you're like, bro, we haven't won a domestic trophy in time. Like, we need this as a club. We need it. We need a lift. We need like something to feel good about. Look, I'm like you. I don't have any doubts that this will come good, and I think it will come good. We need to add a few more pieces to the puzzle, absolutely. But this will come good. But what football fans don't like, and particularly Chelsea fans, is when you say it's going to take time. But that's the reality. Like, that's the reality. Like, we can sit here and say all these things, all this criticism, and some of it can be justified and correct. Absolutely. Like we said about the manager, like we said about the sporting director, how the squad's been put together. But ultimately, this is the situation we're in. And the only real thing that's going to fix this is patience and time. And that is the one thing that football fans, Chelsea fans, don't have any of, or refuse to have any of. And that's why I think, it's hard when you've been ingrained in a way at a football club where the first sign of things going wrong is you turf the manager out. And that's people's default reactions, because that's what a lot of fans from kind of our generation and whatnot have known. First time something goes wrong, the manager's gone. It's always the manager's fault. But I think there are definitely positive signs ahead for me. I mean, you look at the January window as an example. We're in it now, first week. There's not really that many rumours doing the rounds. No real strong links to players, or nothing that looks like it's going to materialise imminently. It's clear that we need a centre forward. Bro, where do you stand on a centre forward issue? Because it's clear now, like, the market, like it was in the summer, the market for centre forwards is quite dry. Like, there's not that many top level ones out there that are available. Like, I'm looking at it, and it's the same 2 names. It's Ivan Toney and it's Victor Osimhen. And I'm thinking, right, okay, two good players, right? We know that January is a hard market to do business in. Yes, we bought in fuckload of players last January, sorry. But like, that was younger players, maybe a little bit easier to do. When you're looking at established pros, you're looking at the best players at teams, bro, they're hard to get out mid-season. And then secondly, because it's January, and also because it's Chelsea, there's going to be the Chelsea premium on it, and there's going to be a January premium on it. And I look at the options we've got. We do not need any more development strikers. We've got Nicholas Jackson. We need someone now that can come in, hit the ground running, and make an impact straight away, because that's what this team's missing. But I look at the options we've got, and I think I just don't see how a world-class centre forward signs for Chelsea in January. I just can't see it.
Yeah, I think I said this in the Crystal Palace game I went to, and I was literally just thinking to myself, right? I was like, okay, we clearly needed a centre forward, right? But if I'm a centre forward, a world-class centre forward, right, and I look at the Chelsea squad, I'm not coming. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not. I wouldn't even bother, because I will be looking at myself and thinking, if I go to the squad, I'm going to be starving. I'm going to be starving. Like, we make chances, but we don't make chances. Do you understand? A lot of them are half chances sometimes. And yes, the best strikers in the world can take half chances. But what I can see, it's like a WWE script almost, where I can see a really good striker coming to the squad. Oh my God, he got 30 goals in his last season in this whatever league he was in. He comes to the squad, 10 goals.
Yeah.
10 league goals.
Dead.
Straight up.
Well, I've always got this like PTSD about big money forwards coming to Chelsea, because they all seem to flop. And I almost get to it and I'm thinking, every striker we've signed has not been a shit player. So what is it about is it about Chelsea that makes strikers who are good everywhere else be shit when they come to Chelsea? Like, what are we doing wrong that does not get the best out of centre forwards? Like, I can't put my finger on it, because you look right now and you think, do you know what? I'm thinking, if we had an Ivan Toney or an Osimhen from day one of the season, we're probably fifth or sixth in the league. But then I'm thinking, well, hang on a second. With the record that strikers have got at Chelsea, would we actually be any better? Because because for whatever reason, why do you think when these players come to Chelsea, particularly centre forwards, why do you think we just can't get anything out of them? You look at Lukaku for an example. I know people hate Lukaku, but man scored goals everywhere he's been, and he comes to Chelsea, and it's shit. Like, why are so many strikers coming here with proven track records? Then the one place on their CV where they can't do it is here. I ain't got an answer for it.
And the thing is that I don't have an answer for it as well. I've tried to figure out many theories about it, because the first one I can really think of, right, is Shevchenko from years ago, right, where Ballon d'Or winner, right, top striker, come to Chelsea. He wasn't even bad.
But no, he wasn't anywhere near as good as we were.
But that's the thing. He wasn't anywhere near as good as we expected. Fernando Torres, another one. He wasn't awful, but he was not good. He had glimpses of great moments, but he was not good. All these players, they're top strikers. They've come to our squad. They haven't been the person that we expect them to be, and it's like a whole cycle. It's a cycle, because it hasn't been going on for 1 or 2 years. It's been going on for like 10 plus years. Do you understand? And it's a thing where I don't get it now, because hand on my heart, if Osimhen said, okay, I'm going to come to Chelsea, what you will see, and I'll tell you exactly what will happen. All Chelsea fans will be happy. Oh, we got Osimhen. We're coming for you. We're coming for you. Osimhen he comes on the debut. He scores. He might score 1 goal. Oh, Osimhen's here. Doesn't score for 4 games. Then it scores 1 goal. And
then them same people are saying, "Oh, this guy's shit. He's like, bro, it's like you can see it now. Like, oh, everyone's well excited, and then he doesn't start how people expect." I almost like people that criticize players. I'm thinking that's on you. If you built yourself up to have these ridiculous expectations of a player, and then they don't hit it, that's not on them. That's on you as a fan that's built yourself up to think that these players are something they aren't. Like, very few players come in and make an unbelievable impact. Remember when we were linked with Haaland a few years ago, right? Yeah. And it was just way too much money. We tried to do it, but it was a ridiculous amount of money. It was before the release clause. And people are like, oh, only we've got Haaland. I'm like, bro, if we had, trust me, Haaland looks like dog shit if he played in a Chelsea team a few years ago. The guy's not getting the goals. And I almost feel that I want us to move away from a situation where with centre forwards over the years, what we've done is we've just signed a big name without actually thinking about that, without thinking about their attitude, without thinking about what they'll be like around the place, without thinking about, does this guy fit the profile of how the manager wants to play? Does he fit in this team? Does he suit the league? We've literally neglected all those important points and just gone, this guy scores loads of goals. We'll make him work. And that doesn't work. That's not how it works. Like I get it with young players. You can mold them to play in the way you want. But when you've got experienced pros coming in, like we need, and top quality players, they're used to playing in a certain way. And someone at 27, 28 years of age or whatever it might be, who's played a certain way his entire career, it is a lot harder to get them to adapt to how you want to play. You need to find a player that fits the style of player that you're playing so he can go straight in. And I don't know what centre forward suits how we're playing right now. For me, Ivan Toney, I've banged the Ivan Toney drum for a long time. I think he'd be perfect for Chelsea. I fully understand that like Brentford are going to ask for silly money in this window. I get it. And also I get it from his point of view. This is going to be his big move in his career. It's a gamble to come to Chelsea at 27, 28. For these guys in their early 20s, it's okay because they've got time on their side. They can wait a couple of years for this team to come good. Tony's probably looking at it and think, well, if you've got an offer from Arsenal and you've got an offer from Chelsea on the table, you're thinking, well, Arsenal are ready to challenge and ready to try and win things right now. And I can go there and make a difference. You look at Chelsea and you think it's still a bit all over the place. The team's not ready right now. You don't know when the team's going to be back in the Champions League. You don't know when the team's going to be ready to win things again. That's a gamble to take. And unfortunately for us, mate, if Tony ended up with a straight choice of Arsenal or Chelsea, bro, he's not going to pick us. He's not going to pick us. But I mean, I look at him as that kind of striker. It's someone that's proven they can score 20 goals in the Premier League. It's someone with the right profile, that sort of physical profile, good hold-up play, good link-up play, can finish with his head, left foot, right foot. You know, that profile, like Drogba, like Costa, that physical presence at the top end of the pitch. It's sort of the profile of player that's been successful in this league. I just can't see us getting him. I mean, if it was down to you and it was out of Tony and Osimhen, who would you prefer?
Tony.
Yeah.
Tony. Osimhen, I just see him scoring 12 goals and then just being frustrated.
I'm just unsure on him. Like, just before you get Tony, like on Osimhen, like, I'm not saying Osimhen's like Lukaku, but everything that Chelsea fans were gassing up Lukaku for doing in Serie A, bro, Osimhen's doing the exact same things in Serie A that Lukaku was doing. I think Lukaku actually scored more goals in Serie A than him. Lukaku's gone to Serie A now. He's banged like 14 goals in his first 17 or 18 games. He's scoring a goal like every 120 odd minutes. Everything that he was doing in that league that people were gassing him for, Osimhen's doing the same, and yet we think it might be different. I get it, Osimhen's 25. He's a different profile. He's got a bit more about his game. His all-round game's probably better. But why would this be any different? It's the same things we're getting excited about Lukaku for doing in this league that we're getting excited for Osimhen doing in the same league. And yet you almost feel like we're setting ourselves up to fall into the same trap again.
And that's an issue because this is the issue. I want Tony. I think Tony would be imperative to the squad. I think it'd be great. But if I am Ivan Toney myself, I'm laughing at Chelsea offering, unless they offer me stupid money, I'm not going to Chelsea. I'm not going. Or unless I have some sort of sentimental reason to go to Chelsea, I'm not going to Chelsea. If I'm straight away thinking as a businessman or as a man where I just want to win trophies and do the best thing for my career, I'm going to Arsenal. You understand? And or those two options were to be Arsenal and Chelsea, I'm going to Arsenal. So the reality is that we're in January now. Whatever happens, I don't care how many. Well, I do care how many signings we make. I just care about making the right signing. I don't care. It has to be the right signing, and the right signing right now is a striker. That's it. Because at least then we say we have Nkunku and we have Jackson. Do you understand? We already have two forwards. Get a striker.
Yeah. I mean, do you think we can afford to not sign a striker this window? Because for me, I look at it and I think Tony's not going to happen, in my opinion. And the only way Osimhen happens is if it's a pre-agreement, like with Nkunku. We agreed to sign him. He stays for the rest of the season. He comes in the summer. I just look at it and I think, do we have enough to get ourselves maybe Europa League football, or at a push 5th if the Champions League goes to 5th place this season for us? Do we have enough with Nkunku and Jackson? I mean, I know we've got Broja, but I'm not rating Broja at all. Do we have enough with Nkunku and Nicholas Jackson, and maybe like Cole Palmer's, Mudryks, etc., contributing a little bit to get us as far up the table as possible for Osimhen to then come in the summer and be that difference maker? I think it's a really, really difficult situation to be in, because look, you look at other strikers we're linked with. You look at players like Benjamin Sesko at Leipzig, who's not really getting much of a kick there. You look at players like Santiago Jimenez at Feyenoord, who's been linked. So I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking, yes, there's some quality there. Yes, they're a bit more experienced than Jackson might be in terms of top level football, but we have to move away from another one of these guys that is like, well, this guy's got potential. We've got a whole fucking team of potential. We don't need to be adding more potential on top of the potential. So this is really tricky, because you're like, on the one hand, I'll be annoyed if we don't sign a striker this window. Then the other hand as well, I'm thinking, well, I'd rather not sign anyone than sign someone for the sake of it. And you look at it and you think, what we could really do with is someone like a Giroud. Like, if we're going to do a big striker in the summer, we look for a centre forward that can maybe come in on a loan deal, or we can sign someone cheap for, like, we can sign someone cheap and they're happy to sort of be a backup or whatever, and they cost like 15, 20 mil or whatever. But I think if you can try and find an experienced striker on loan that gives you a different profile, a different option, and you address it in the summer, fine. The problem is there's not that many of them. And do you know what the mad thing is? Giroud would still start for this team now. That's crazy.
I was saying that in the Newcastle Carabao Cup game. I said, that's crazy. If we had Olivier Giroud, that actually would have helped. But the guy is, what, 38? Oh,
yeah, 37, maybe. Bro, I promise you, he still starts for us.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
That's mad, isn't it? That's mad. But do you know what I mean? You need that sort of profile. But again, you've seen with Man United when they don't have much money to spend in January, they've gone down that route of trying to get an experienced guy on loan. They did it with Gallo, they did it with Workhorse, not going to happen. They're linked with Timo Werner. Like, do you know what I mean? Like this, it is hard to find someone in January to come in on loan or for cheap that is going to make an impact in 6 months, and then you can send them back. Like, I think people are look at the Joao Felix thing when we signed him. Everyone was well excited by it, but ultimately, like, if you're coming to a new league, 6 months is not much time to adapt to make an impact. You need to know this league, or it's going to be almost pointless bringing someone in. So I don't. It's obvious we need a striker, but it's not as easy as just go and get a striker.
Yeah. Because the striker needs to want to join us, and we need to think, is it the right time? The yada. Because if we do, again, as you're saying, if we do go for someone like Osimhen, or we have a pre-agreement with him, it's one of those ones where we have to step up now, which is essentially why I'm saying it's so important to win a trophy with the Carabao Cup. Because if we do that, then the team knows, guys, we can win a trophy, we can do something. Let's use that experience we got winning the trophy and the confidence we attained winning that trophy to really push forward with the league now. Do you understand? And maybe if we're lucky, or not lucky, but if we can, go for the FA Cup. Now what? We have 2 trophies and we're fighting for top 4, or fighting for at least the Europa League spot. Whereas, like, people look at us like, yeah, now they're looking at, like, now they're in the Europe, they're out of like the top 10. Because, or out of the bottom 10, I should say. And we're into the top 6. Now we're actually a top 6 club again, obviously, even though we are. Yeah. And then what? You then get these players looking at us like, yeah, so they've won a trophy or 2 trophies, and they're 6th place. Yeah, I can come in as a star player and be the star of that team, and that team's going to grow with me, and I'm going to grow with that team as well. Now, the following season, we can fight for the Champions League, or maybe even fight for the league. It might even, obviously, we won't win the league, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, those small things happen when you win the trophies, then you start to see the confidence of the team build up, get higher position in the table. Players like Osimhen actually say, yeah, I want to join the squad. Or Tony say, yeah, I want to join the squad. Bam. Now we're in. Now we're laughing. Now we're in a situation where we can say, yeah, we're coming back now, rather than we're in transition. Now that transition period is over. Now we're back, and now we're getting even better. So I just think right now, personally, I don't know if we have the minerals to fight for everything, but we need to.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and I think, mate, what do you think is realistic for this window? I know we're talking about strikers and that, but in terms of other incomings, I know we've been looking at centre backs. That's not a pressing issue. If we can get something done this month, we will. With obviously Chalobah likely to leave and Silva in all likelihood probably not going to renew for next season. Left back, where do you stand with that? Obviously, Martin's going to leave this month. We're pretty certain on that. Chilwell is back in training now. He's been quite injury prone. He needs a run of games. He needs a run of time where he's actually fit for at least 3/4 of a season.
Yes.
You've got Cucurella, who has done well this season, then picked up an injury, he's had surgery. He's recovering. Do we think he's a long-term answer or a long-term solution? No, probably not.
Yeah.
I think what we need, this is probably not for now, but probably for the summer, but we need a Malo Gusto type that plays left back. Would you say that? Would you say like maybe not for this window, but would you say certainly for the summer? Do you think that like going forwards, left back is an area of this squad that needs addressing?
Yes, definitely, 100%. Especially towards the summer. I like obviously now like whatever, but for the summer you're gonna realize, is Chilwell actually gonna be ready? Because remember, when you're injury prone, you come back and keep getting injured again. It just ruins the momentum so much.
Yeah.
And as a player as well, it ruins your momentum as well. So I'm even thinking to myself, is Chilwell going to be as good as he was back in 2021? I don't know.
We've got no idea.
Do you understand? I don't know. I can't say yes or no to that. You then got Cucurella, who's probably going to be kicking rocks in a bit. You've got Maatsen, who's definitely kicking rocks. Then now you come to this and you're like, wait a second, who the hell do we have? Do you understand? At that position. And that is an important position. So we need to look at that, I believe, because I don't know about getting a left back for this window, but
I don't see it.
Definitely need to get it for the summer. I actually agree with that statement. I mean, right back is, we've got James. I'm really worried about, to be honest.
I think this return from surgery is going to be. It almost feels like it's like a bit of a watershed moment for him. If he comes back and he's not played like more than 5 games in a row since he was on loan at Wigan. Like that's all them years ago. That is crazy. This when he comes back from his surgery, whenever it is, whether it's February, March. If it was down to me, I'd be like, Reece, take the rest of the season. Just do what you need to do to be ready. Because whatever was happening before wasn't working. So you look at this and you're thinking, I'm not saying it's last chance saloon for him, but you almost feel like if he comes back and he gets injured again in the hamstring, like not that long after surgery, you look at it and you think, I'm not saying like, oh, get rid of this guy, but you're thinking, where the fuck do we go with this guy? Because it's like, this is so crucial for Reece even at this early stage of his career. Like if this surgery doesn't do what we think it's going to do, it's a massive problem. I mean, every time I watch Reece James, I love watching him play. He's an unbelievable player. But in the back of my mind, I can't fully enjoy it because I'm thinking it's not if this guy breaks down. I'm just waiting for him to get injured. Yeah. And that's a bad place to be in when you're watching a player play and you're thinking you want to see the best players play regardless of whatever team they're playing for. You want to see the best guys doing their thing on the pitch. I see Reece doing it. I'm thinking, I don't know how much longer I'm going to enjoy this for because I know this guy is going to go down.
Yeah. And that's just another worry to add on. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's honestly, that's why I'm just thankful for Malo Gusto because someone like that is such a good player. Do you understand?
He's Clark, bro. Like, and this is why I'm not saying it doesn't matter that Reece is out. Of course, it matters. But the impact on the team, with now that we have Gusto, the impact is so much less. Yeah. Like if this was last season and it was Azpilicueta and Loftus-Cheek having to play it right back. I mean, Ruben actually done all right when he played wing back to be fair, but it was Azpilicueta and those guys playing on a regular basis. That's why I think Reece has had quite a few recurring injury problems because we've been so desperate to get him back. We probably bought him back way too soon. And it really hasn't helped him. But look, right back, I don't think it's an issue right now. But certainly, if Reece comes back from the surgery and there's any further complications, then I think there really is some sort of a genuine conversation to be had about what do we do? What do we do with him? But I mean, in terms of, I agree, mate. I don't think there's going to be that much coming in this window. I think we might see maybe two come in, two tops. I think
Two tops,
two tops. I think there'll be maybe 3 or 4 will go out. You probably see some kids come in as well. I mean, for the actual first team, I think we're looking at maybe 2 players. Where do you stand on Conor Gallagher, by the way? Obviously, he's been exceptional this first part of the season. He's got 18 months left on his deal. No real talks look like they've come forward yet. We know this ownership doesn't like players going into the last 2 years. It's either sign up or be sold. That's kind of the way it's gone. I'm not saying that Conor Gallagher is the next coming of fucking Frank Lampard or whatever. But what I'm saying is that it's not Gallagher's fault that he's been better than Enzo and Caicedo this season. It's not his fault that he's the most experienced midfield player in the team. The manager's picked him. The manager likes him. He likes his attributes and whatever. And he's gone on the pitch and he's delivered. And I always say, what players like him lacking talent, ability and whatnot, they make up for in their work rate. The fact they give 100% on the pitch and they'll die for the badge. Those things make up for any sort of gap in talent for me. I'm not saying it replaces talent, but it certainly bridges that gap.
And that's the thing. Sorry to cut you off. So it's obviously my belief of Gallagher is like this, right? I wanted him gone at the very beginning of the season because I was like,
so did I, mate. I wasn't bothered if he went.
I was like thinking this guy has got no talent. All he does is run. You know, people like on Twitter call him a dog and all that. Okay, I don't call him that, but like, you know, like
you see it all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but
it's funny, but like it's such a like it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, it's silly. But
it's silly.
the thing is, right, is that with Gallagher, I wasn't looking at the beginning of the season, and then I kind of just thought to myself, right, this guy is he's done a good job. Right,
he's actually done well.
He's done a good job. He's done his job well. He's come out and he has, done again. I've looked at Enzo Caicedo. I don't have bias when it comes to how much money they cost and all that sort of stuff. I looked at Gallagher. I'm like, I can't lie to you. You're doing better, or you've actually impressed me. I don't know about better, but you've impressed me more than than Enzo and Caicedo have. So the reality is that now I think they want him gone, right? Or they're trying to sell him and everything. I'm just thinking to myself, but we don't really have the facilities to say, yeah, you can go.
No, because you're one injury. If Gallagher were to leave, you're one Enzo or Caicedo injury away from having no one. Lavia's not.
And that's the issue.
And you're one moment away from having to play Ugo Chukwu every week.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like he's shit, but this is an unproven player. So like you're leaving yourself very, very short. All right, you bring Andre Santos coming back from loan. The guy barely kicked a ball for Forest. Don't tell me that you couldn't.
He's going to now be starting for us.
He's going to come in and he's going to be all right to play for us. Come on, behave. No, it's not. It's not happening. So look, I'm by no means saying that Conor Gallagher is irreplaceable. I'm by no means saying that Chelsea can't go and get better footballers than Gallagher. They absolutely can. But what I'm saying is, at this point in the season, what serious club even entertains the idea of selling their best player and captain for the majority of the first half of the season, a player that the manager has publicly come out and said he wants to stay, a player that said he wants to stay at the club, and yet it appears that the sporting directors, the ownership, whoever it might be, is basically saying if Gallagher does get sold, whoever the manager is in this project, it doesn't matter because we've got our vision and whatever we say is going to go. Like whatever your input is, we don't care. Like no serious club entertains the idea of selling a club's best player halfway through the season. Like that shouldn't even be a thing. Like the fact that this is a conversation is ridiculous in itself.
I agree. So my opinion, right? Again, as you said, in my opinion, and I mean it's in the nicest way possible, Gallagher is replaceable in many ways possible. Yeah. But the reality is, guys, who do we have now? Again, we sell Gallagher, right? We have Enzo and we have Caicedo. Cool.
Cool.
And then one of those two get injured, or we play a midweek cup game, and one of them needs a bit of a rest. We got Lavia, but he's injured. So then what then? We have Ugochukwu. Okay, good player, but not really proven. He will get caught out in these moments.
And then you've got some academy boys that might play, but
and then what's going to happen is that we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. And people can say to me, right, and I get their point where Gallagher doesn't have much talent. He's just more of a workhorse, basically, right? Okay, cool. But the workhorse is being our best player right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying much. Like, yes, I agree. Talent means more than work rate at this in terms of like winning the leagues and everything.
Yeah.
Bro, we don't have it now. We don't have the talent.
There's a place in the squad for players like Gallagher. I'm not saying that like going forwards. I'm not saying that Gallagher is going to be a mainstay in the Chelsea midfield in the next 2 or 3 years. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is a guy that never moans about his playing time. He's happy to do whatever he's asked to do for the team. We'll do it. We'll not make a fuss. There is a valuable place in squads for players like that. Look, when we like first won the league kind of like under Mourinho and stuff, or the second time round, like looking at players like, remember we had like Smertin and stuff, players that were like kind of average players. They played an important role in the squad. Players like Jeremy, players like Yuri Jarosik, like even Thiago, the Portuguese midfielder. The
Portuguese guy from 25.
You're thinking these are guys that not the best players in the world. They're not going to play every week. But fuck me, they were important for the squad. And Gallagher can be one of those. Like if you sell Gallagher, great, you might get 50 million quid for him. But is that, I tell you what, you're spending more than 50 million quid to replace him. That's the reality. That is the reality. You might think, oh, we've got a quick 50 here. That's going to help us on with the profit and sustainability rules. But ultimately, you're going to end up spending more to replace him. And there is a valuable place in the squad for players like him. By no means am I saying this guy should start every week going forward. Right now, he should be because he deserves to. But I'm like, there is a valuable place in the squad for players like him.
I agree.
Like you look at all the squads, right, in the league, and like, yes, you don't win a squad with an 11. You win it with a 15 or a 16. And there are players in those squads that win things that you think, do you know, he's not the most talented boy. He's not got the most ability. There are players that are much more capable and are better than him. But I tell you what, when he's called upon for maybe 5 or 10 games in the season or whatever it might be, this guy will come in and do a job. And I look at Gallagher as one of those. And those players are kind of worth their weight in gold to teams.
Yeah. That's the thing. But I believe he's an important player. I believe he's an important player, and I believe he adds value to the team. And taking that away won't make any sense at this time. That's what
I think just to round this one out, mate, I just think like, it could cause a massive problem. I'm not saying that Poch would walk if Gallagher was sold, but it goes to show that actually the manager's input is not really valued. It goes to show that whoever the manager is, as sporting directors, we're going to do what we want to do. And then when it comes to looking for a new manager, potentially, you're thinking as a manager, well, why am I going there? And my input's not really considered when my best player could just be sold underneath my nose and like I've got no say in it. So it absolutely has wide implications, 100%. But look, we could talk about this all day, but I think we'll round that one out. This episode out here, we've covered a lot of stuff. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Guys, make sure as always you're smashing the likes. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Leave your thoughts in the comments below as always. Brendan, thanks so much for your time, bro. Greatly appreciated. Guys, we'll be back again with another episode next week as always. FA Cup getting underway this weekend. Carabao Cup coming up next week as well. Loads of fixtures to get into in January. Hopefully we can start the year off on a positive note. Let's see what signings come through the door. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Catch you again in another episode soon. Up the Chels.
Yes, sir.